If you learned in school that Robert Peary was the first person to reach the North Pole, you were lied to. The man who actually got there first was Matthew Henson, a black explorer from Maryland, and they buried his story for 79 years. April 6, 1909, the Arctic. According to expedition records documented by the National Geographic Society, 6 men stood on frozen ocean 413 nautical miles off Greenland's coast. 4 were Inuit guides. The other 2 were Americans, Robert Peary and Matthew Henson. But here's what your textbooks didn't tell you. Peary was exhausted and injured from falling through ice during the final push. As documented in Henson's 1912 autobiography, A Negro Explorer at the North Pole, Peary sent Henson ahead to scout the location. Henson, being the superior navigator and sled driver, reached what they believed was the North Pole first. When Peary finally arrived, Henson greeted him with the words documented in historical records, "I think I'm the first man to sit on top of the world." It reportedly didn't sit well with Peary. Matthew Henson wasn't just along for the ride. According to team member Donald MacMillan, writing in National Geographic Magazine in 1920, Henson was indispensable with years of experience equal to Peary himself. Henson spoke fluent Inuktitut. He personally built and maintained every sled used on their expeditions. He trained every single expedition member in Arctic survival. The Inuit people called him Miy Paluk, meaning Matthew the Kind One. As Peary himself once admitted, he was more of an Eskimo than some of them. This was Henson's 8th attempt to reach the pole, and 18 years exploring the Arctic. He lost 8 toes to frostbite. He survived temperatures that dropped to 65 degrees below zero. He navigated through cracking ice, open water leads, and pressure ridges that rose meters high. Peary even stated before the final expedition, "Henson must go all the way. I can't make it there without him." Yet when they returned to America in September 1909, the New York Times headline read, "Peary discovers the North Pole after 8 trials in 23 years. Not we, not team, just Peary. According to Harvard Foundation records, Henson was given a job parking cars, the only work he could find. President Taft eventually appointed him to a clerk position at the U.S. Customs House in New York in 1913. Meanwhile, Peary became a rear admiral, received international acclaim, and traveled the world as a celebrated hero. The morning after planting the flag, as documented by Henson in the Boston American newspaper in 1910, Peary left camp without rapping on Henson's igloo, a morning ritual they'd maintained for decades. Henson wrote, "It nearly broke my heart that he would rise in the morning and slip away without rapping on the ice for me, as was the established custom." Their friendship, forged over 18 years of Arctic exploration, ended the moment Henson's footprints were first in the snow. It took until 1944 for Congress to award Henson the Peary Polar Expedition Medal. In 1948, Presidents Truman and Eisenhower both honored him. In 1988, 33 years after his death, President Reagan granted permission for Henson and his wife Lucy to be reinterred at Arlington National Cemetery. On April 6, 1988, exactly 79 years after reaching the pole, Henson was finally buried where he belonged, near Peary's grave. Harvard Foundation Director S. Allen Counter delivered the eulogy. "We welcome you home, Matthew Henson. We welcome you to a place that has always been yours by right, but has been denied because of the inequities of our society." Here's the brutal irony. Modern analysis by British explorer Wally Herbert in 1989 found that Peary's expedition notebook was lacking in essential data, and that navigational errors likely meant they fell 30 to 60 miles short of the actual pole. But whether they reached the exact spot or not, one truth remains undeniable. Matthew Henson got there before Peary did. History chose to celebrate the white man who had to be pulled on a sled and erase the black man who blazed the trail. But the truth refused to stay buried. What other heroes have been written out of history because of the color of their skin? Drop your answer in the comments. If this story made you angry, it should. Hit that follow button because we're bringing back every hero they tried to hide. Share this with someone who needs to know that being first doesn't matter if history decides you don't count.